Good Friday morning, friends. Welcome back for another episode of the Finding God in the Dark podcast. My name is Don.
My name is Jonathan.
And while we were expecting to have a guest on with us today, they had an emergency come up. So we're going to postpone that. We're not sure yet whether to next week or maybe a little further out, but we'll see. We will still talk about the film Soul at some point.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave that to our guest. They picked the film.
Yeah.
Um, so we're going to shift a little bit and just talk about since we've done 100 of these, um, and not particularly talk about the films that we have watched, but films that are some of our favorites.
Mhm.
Um, and we'll take some different categories and look at that. So, how do you want to start, John?
Well, I thought we could just take this every once in a while when you watch podcasts or video blogs, you'll see folks do episodes where they talk about themselves. So I thought, why not? So, yeah, just can you think of like what are some of your favorite movies? Like what what movies made you fall in love with watching movies?
Um, well, I think I've loved movies like since I was a kid. I mean, to me, particularly now, I'll go back to like the 70s and the
Mhm.
Saturday afternoon creature double feature. You get a Godzilla movie or two monster movies or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think that really initially sparked my love of films.
Yeah.
Um, although, can we call those films per
Yeah,
se?
they're movies. They're not like classic movies, but they're
No,
movies.
no, not really. But as far as like and I've said this before, my favorite film is actually the trilogy. It's the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Um, and someone commented on last week's podcast
Yeah,
that, Citizen Kane was the best film ever.
yeah,
And I said, and I responded to him, I said, while I recognize that it is a groundbreaking film, and a lot of the films we see today owe a lot to the techniques that Citizen Kane put together in one film. Um, to me, the best film ever is still the Lord of the Rings trilogy because it is, I have to, the way I describe it is like I read the books when I was in my teens.
yeah,
And when I saw what Peter Jackson put on film on the screen, it was real. All of a sudden, all of that I had created in my mind for so many years was real. And it left a huge impact on me.
yeah.
I have, I think they're over there somewhere. I have the complete trilogy on the extended edition box sets,
Yeah.
because yeah,
Yeah. So, okay, so that would fit into like action, I'm guessing, right?
action drama, yeah.
Do you have a favorite comedy or a favorite drama?
I think one of my and it this one kind of crosses that line between comedy and drama. One of those films that I loved, saw it in theaters when it came out years ago. Amadeus.
Okay.
It's just a great film, and like Tom Hulce as
Mhm.
Mozart, right? Is sort of the comedic angle to the film. It is a drama, and it
Yeah.
is really more about Salieri, his rival.
Yeah.
But that film just like that was a great film. And I believe it won Best Picture that year, did it not?
It did.
Right.
Yeah. And uh the who is the gentleman that played Mozart?
Um, um, yeah.
Holt. Or
Hmm?
did you
Oh,
say Holt?
Mozart, Thomas Hulse. Yeah.
He either won Best Supporting Actor or Best Actor because I saw him on the when they did the 75th Oscars. They had all the actors that were actors and actresses that were still alive.
Hmm.
They had him up there, so he must have won for one. You know,
Well, and there's certain films, there's certain I find that there's certain portrayals that stick with you, right? Like his Thomas Hollis's Mozart. If you've ever seen 12 Monkeys,
yeah,
Brad Pitt in that film,
yeah,
incredible. I don't know how he did not get nominated
yeah,
because it was amazing.
yeah,
Um, so
yeah. I've heard people describe Brad Pitt, and I think it's true as um, he is a character actor, but he's too good looking. And so he doesn't get the parts that most character actors would get, but that he really is a character actor, which I think is interesting because I feel like the movies that I remember him in are the weird, quirky movies that he's doing kind of an offbeat character, a weird guy, you
Fight
know.
Club,
Yeah,
yeah, 12 Monkeys, Fight Club,
yeah,
Seven,
yeah,
uh, you
yeah.
know, um, yeah, you're right. He's anyway, we're off on a little bit of a tangent, but
That's, this is what this
so
whole thing's going to be a tangent.
this whole episode's a tangent.
Strap in, boys.
It's okay. It's okay. Um, so I don't know. What's your what are your top films? Your favorite drama, comedy?
Probably the drama I come back to the most is probably The Godfather. Like I just, it's like comfort food. It's like a
Yeah.
nice bowl of spaghetti. It's like just popping
Yes.
in.
No, I get it. Yeah.
There's always something there. I do think it's interesting for me. I think you could make a good argument that Godfather 2 is a better movie, but
A lot of people do. Yeah.
Godfather is more rewatchable to me. Godfather's like it's like a really nice blanket. Like it's just
Mhm.
kind of nice to
Just
snuggle up with.
familiar and comfortable, and
Yeah.
yeah, I get it.
Um, I this is weird. I was thinking about because I threw out the idea of talking about best or not like comedies we love, dramas we love, action movies we love. And even though I would not say these are my favorite comedies, probably if I thought down and said about them, when I think about comedy, the first two movies that come up are Will Ferrell movies.
Okay.
And they're not so much the overarching from beginning to end, these are the great comedies or whatever. It's scenes that I remember that just like always make me laugh.
Mhm.
So I think about, have you ever seen The Other Guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. That whole kind of thing they do with, so in the movie, Will Ferrell, who's an average looking guy, he's not, amazing looking, he's an average looking guy, is married to Eva Mendes, very beautiful woman. And kind of the running joke of the movie is he's constantly talking about how plain she is and how unattractive she is. And they are spoofing on the idea that so often in movies and TV shows, we're like kind of average looking or even frumpy guys have these beautiful wives or these beautiful girlfriends. And it comes down to the fact that the actor who is writing the script wants to hang out with a beautiful woman. Like that's what it comes out. And they're making fun of that the whole movie. And then there's one scene where her mother, her grandmother has to come back and forth and deliver messages between the two of them. And they get more and more kind of graphic in their romantic sexual descriptions. And she's like, please don't make me say this. And for some reason, that always just makes me laugh so hard. Yeah.
I don't know for comedies. For me, it's like I like kind of these old-ish.
Okay.
I'm not going back to like the Marx Brothers or anything like that, but the stuff from the 70s and the 80s, like formative years for me, right?
Yeah.
So Caddyshack
Yeah.
and Animal House
Yeah.
and Airplane, films
Yeah.
like that. Like particularly Airplane was great because it just spoofed the whole disaster film
Yes.
genre at the
Yeah.
time, which was huge.
Yeah.
And just they were slapstick,
Yeah.
which okay, it's not great filmmaking,
Yeah.
but they were fun. And I still, I can still put those films on and laugh.
Yeah.
Um, but so drama, comedy. What about action films?
Probably for me, it's I have in my living room. I've turned it into a movie room, so I have movie posters up,
Cool.
and probably two of the movies that are up and that I love in terms of action are Raiders of the Lost Ark
Classic. Yep.
and The Dark Knight, which I just it's a comic book movie, but it's so much more than a comic book movie. It's a
Oh
really
yeah.
great kind of it's a great drama, but it's a really great heist movie. It just there's like that opening scene, that first 10 minutes of that movie is just amazing.
And
You know.
that's the one with Heath Ledger, right? As the
Yeah.
Joker. Yeah.
As the Joker, yeah. Um yeah, that's probably those are probably my two action movies that I keep coming back to. Yeah.
That's
How about you?
interesting. And they're great ones. I mean,
Yeah.
really, they're Dark Knight is it's not just a great heist movie, it's not just a great action film, but it's a great character study.
Yeah.
I mean, when you delve into not just the Joker, I mean, he's an
Yeah.
interesting character, but also into, the Batman's motivations in the same film.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, that film has layers that are really intense.
Yeah.
Um, I think probably if I were to pick just one
Yeah.
action film that I love, it would be Aliens.
Okay. Yeah.
The second one, not the
Yeah.
first one's great.
Yeah.
The first one was great. The second one was better.
Yeah.
The first one is like a haunted house movie, basically, right? It's a
Yeah.
haunted house in space.
Yeah.
The second one is an action film. It
Yeah.
is a, pure, and I think they've tried to recreate it any number of times afterwards, with sequels upon sequels upon sequels, and just never captured what that second film did. That's one of those few where the second film was better than the first. Godfather,
Yeah.
Aliens, you know.
Yeah. Empire Strikes
Usually they
Back.
don't do that. Usually their second film is it's close or it's terrible, but
Yeah.
very occasionally that's one of those ones that yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Batman,
Yeah.
Dark Knight
Yeah.
being a comic book movie.
Yeah.
Do you have a preference of comic book movies? Marvel or DC?
Well, I mean, there's no question the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been much more successful than the DC.
Been more successful for sure. Yeah.
You would argue I could argue the Nolan movies are probably better comic book movies than any other comic book movies,
Yeah.
but they I feel like they're in another subset because it's not really you know of of terms of the Marvel movies. My kids really love the uh, my two youngest, Chris and Nathan, really, and I like it, but I'm always shocked. They always want to watch the second to last Avenger movie, the one that's really sad, where half of
Infinity
the
War. Yeah.
yeah, Infinity War, yeah, half of the planet dissolves. Like
Right.
I'm always shocked. They always want to go see that one again. They always want to watch that one again. I'm always shocked.
Interesting that that one it did something for Marvel at least
Yeah,
that they didn't do is it left a huge plot line unresolved,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And okay, you knew there was going to be another movie, to resolve the plot line, but how do you bring back, half of the population who are just turned to dust?
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, it was a downer.
It really
That's
was.
that's why it always cracks me up because whenever I go like they go whenever they when they go like we want to watch a Marvel movie, almost always it's like Infinity War. So I'm like, really? Like I'm like, it's good, but really? You want to end on that note? Like,
I think it's funny. I used to, when I was in my late 20s to mid 30s ish, something like that. I read a lot of comic books. I picked up comic books as an adult, not,
yeah,
as a kid.
yeah,
Um, and one of my favorite comics was the X-Men series.
yeah,
So I really enjoy the Sony X-Men films,
mhm,
which to me they brought those stories to life,
yeah,
right? But if I had a favorite
yeah,
Marvel film,
yeah,
it's Deadpool.
yeah,
It's Deadpool. I mean, it's action and it's funny, and it's just and the thing is, for if you're a comic book geek, you read the comic books. There are so many in jokes in those films that people don't get
yeah,
if they never read the comic books.
yeah,
So, perfect example. The most recent one was Deadpool and Wolverine, right?
yeah,
And there's a scene where the two of them are getting ready to fight all of these Deadpools, from all these different universes. They're going to fight all these Deadpools.
yeah.
And as the camera pans back, Deadpool and Wolverine are standing in front of a store called Liefeld's Shoes or something like that. Liefeld's Feet Store, right? Well, Rob Liefeld was the artist for
Mm.
Deadpool, and he was notoriously ragged on for not being able to draw feet. Okay. So I went to see this film and I'm sitting there and I see Liefeld's Feed Store and I start bursting out laughing. And I am the only person in the whole theater. Like we were there on opening night. I took my son to see it on opening night. I'm the only one laughing at that joke. Like, okay, I'm the nerd.
Yes, you are. Yeah, yeah. Those moments are always fun. How about the movies that we've talked about together? Is there one that jumps out to you?
Ooh. I, it's interesting because I wanted to initially when we were kind of shifting gears here, I thought,
Yeah,
let's look at the whole list of
yeah,
100 episodes and all the films that we've looked at, just like bang out one after another.
yeah,
And the one that keeps coming to my mind
yeah.
is one of the worst ones that we watched,
What was that?
After Dark.
Yes, that
Uh,
was
the
bad.
the it was bad. It was a bad movie. Uh, it's not a good film. And it's funny because I watch YouTube videos a lot, and I get these, like Watch Mojo is one, and there's a What Culture, and they talk about these horror movies, unexpected things that happen in horror movies, and one of them was that scene from After Dark where they drank the water
Yeah,
and then exploded.
yes,
Bizarre. Um, and the other one was 47 meters down. That
yeah,
was bad,
yeah,
not good.
uh,
Um,
yes,
I mean, we've looked at some great films.
yes,
Godfather 2,
yeah,
Citizen Kane, obviously.
yeah,
Um, that's the thing with me. Like, I just like films. It's hard for me to say
yeah,
this is my favorite. I have
mm,
one favorite,
yeah,
Lord of the Rings.
yeah,
No, in fact, my son. For those who don't know, my son had surgery yesterday. He's got issues with his arm, so he was abused before he was a year old, and so he had fractures on the growth plates in his arms,
Mm.
and so he'll have to have these surgeries periodically to lengthen his arm bones
Mm.
until he stops growing. So he had to have one of those surgeries yesterday, and he's home today. He's home today and tomorrow from school. He's going back on Monday. Um, and he keeps saying to me, Dad, you know what we should do? We should watch The Return of the King. Because he's seen the first two, but he hasn't seen the third one.
There you go.
So, at least I feel like okay, I'm raising him right.
Yeah.
It's getting that. Now I've got to show him the Star Wars films, or at least the original trilogy of the Star Wars films. Uh,
Yeah, that's yeah. And then maybe skip to three.
yes. Yeah. Like I would probably show him like so it's episode 4, New Hope, right? It was
Yeah,
the original one.
yeah.
So I go 4, 5, 6, and then I go 1, 2, 3, and then those other 7, 8, 9, they don't exist.
I like what's the one right before that's set right before New Hope? I'm blanking right now, but I actually
Yeah,
enjoy that.
yeah. I have it. What I can't think of it, but I know the one you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I really like that one.
that one's great.
Yeah,
That one is great. Um, gosh, now I'm gonna now I have to look it up.
yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah. But yeah, yeah. The Star Wars movies are. I feel like one thing I feel like that's happening in our time, which is frustrating, is I feel like we're overdoing franchises way too much.
Yeah,
Like,
no doubt.
I feel like I can understand that there's
Rogue One.
Rogue One. I feel like Rogue One's a good example. It actually had a kind of a purpose to it. Like it had this kind of moment in the mythology that had never been explained, and they kind of flesh it out. But I feel like sometimes, like with Star Wars or even Marvel, sometimes there's this kind of tendency to, well, we purchased it, therefore we must every year or two make another movie. And
Yeah,
it's like make a movie for a purpose. Make a movie because it answers a question that's always been hanging out there, or
right.
delves. But just don't make a movie to make a movie. And I feel like even like with Lord of the Rings, I know like Stephen Colbert knows a ton about Lord of the Rings, but why is he writing a Lord of the Rings movie? Like, why are we doing this? Like, do we really need another Lord
And,
of the Rings
and
movie?
look, they overdid. You notice I said Lord of the Rings and not The Hobbit, right?
Yeah,
Because they overdid it with the Hobbit movie. They turned a single what Tolkien wrote as a kid's book
yeah.
into three films.
It's like 120 pages, and they turned it into three
They
movies.
turned it into three films. I mean, and they put in all this like this romantic angle that's not in the books, and all this. It's like, no, no.
Yeah,
No, you did great with The Lord of the Rings. You told those stories and
yeah,
you told them visually in a way that is just engaging and you didn't have to beat the storyline to death, which is
yeah.
what he does with The Hobbit.
I mean, I would like to see it. Probably won't happen, but I would like to see more filmmakers do like Sinners, do creative stuff that comes out of nowhere that they create. Like that's what makes movies fun is when you don't see
It's
stuff
it's
coming.
interesting that this okay, what's happening in films is happening as well in like theme parks.
Yeah,
Okay. So Disney, for the longest time, Disney had their own original ideas
yeah,
for lands and shows and rides and things like that. And now everything that they build, everything that they improve is always an intellectual property. They've got to
yeah,
cram something that they made a movie out of, they've got to make a ride out of it now.
yeah,
And like you're allowed to do original stories. You,
yeah.
you really are. You're allowed to do original stories. you know, um, you're this. it's one of those things that does bug me. Like Sinners, I thought got robbed in the Oscars. Should have been should have been best film. I'm sorry, of the films that we saw
Yeah.
that were nominated for best picture, the one that won was the worst of the ones we saw. At least in my opinion, it was
Yeah.
the worst of the ones we saw.
I thought it was I thought it was better than you, but I totally agree. Sinners to me was much better, and I don't
Yeah.
understand why.
And as much as Michael B. Jordan was amazing in that role,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
sort of the subtle differences between the two characters he's playing on screen at the same time,
yeah,
really great.
yeah,
Ethan Hawke was better.
yeah,
Ethan Hawke in Blue Moon was better.
yeah,
Um, they got Best Actress right.
yeah,
Jessie Buckley, they got that right.
yeah. They did.
But that was like everybody. You mentioned that every award
Yeah,
show had Jessie Buckley winning.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, she just did an amazing job. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Well, and we go back to that. For those who aren't following Hamnet, Jessie
Yeah,
Buckley was in Hamnet.
yeah,
Um, that one scene at the end where the emotion on her face in just, the span of maybe 2 minutes of screen time and how that changes and oh my, she was really good.
Is Let me ask you: is there an actor, actress, or director that like if you know there are movies coming out that they're in or they did, you're gonna see like you got front row tickets kind of thing?
Um, Usually, I don't think that, I follow because, well, let's be honest, we have actors that we like, and then sometimes they do a stinker. I
Yeah,
tell you,
like
I
yeah,
mean, if you ask me what actor I think is great,
yeah,
is one of the best actors out there right now, I'd probably say Gary Oldman.
yeah,
Because Gary Oldman is a 100% chameleon.
yeah,
He is whatever role he's in, you don't ever see him.
yeah,
You see the role.
yeah,
And like you have to understand, like the guy who played Sirius Black in the Harry Potter movies is also the guy who played the villain in The Fifth Element.
yeah,
And that's, I mean, you put them side by side, that's not the same guy. And
yeah,
yet it
and
is.
yeah, his turn in the professional is amazing
Yeah.
as the bad guy. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I mean, as far as overall work.
I just because with Sinners, I mean, I already liked his work before, but with Sinners, like the next Ryan Coogler movie, I'm gonna go watch. Like, I don't care what it is, I'm gonna go see it
Mhm.
because I've just been so impressed by what he's done with Creed, what he did with Black Panther, um, what he did with Sinners. That I want to see the next thing he does. You
Mm.
know,
Yeah, I don't
um,
I don't know that there's any one in particular. We saw this graphic on, I think it was on Facebook or something, but they were listing all the Steven Spielberg films, head to head, and then what's the best one, and they pit them against each other,
yeah,
like in a tournament bracket, right?
yeah,
And my son Ian, he said to me, which one's the best, Dad? And I looked down the whole list and I went, Jaws.
yeah,
And then he says to me, "Oh, I don't think I've seen that." I said, "Yes, you did. We watched it on the porch, on the deck
yeah,
outside at the cabin on vacation in August. You
yeah.
watched it."
Yeah. Is there a movie that you're looking forward to that's going to come out soon?
Um, I don't really know. I haven't been watching like what's coming out. I you
Yeah.
know I think this is interesting. And it's a little bit tangential, but so is this whole
Yeah.
episode, right?
Yeah.
Um, that we watched the first Wicked film
Yeah.
and then just had no interest in watching the second one. And I think we are like a lot of people in that case. There's a lot of people just like, eh. you
Yeah,
know, like
I was gonna mention that the second of the 28 years later film
yeah, the
is
Bone
out
Temple.
and streaming, and we should probably do that. For me, I'm really looking forward to the Odyssey. Um,
That my son has been talking about that.
yeah,
He's likes Greek mythology, and he says,
yeah,
Dad, we should go see that when it comes out. Um, I understand Hail Mary is pretty good.
yes.
Haven't seen it.
I'm about to turn 50, and I'm gonna go see that with my kids. So
I
yeah,
want to see
my 40s are slipping away day by day. There's only a
what's
couple days
this like.
left.
Yeah. Um, let's see what's coming up. Um, these are like look like they're currently in theaters.
Yeah,
Um,
some of
I'll
them
tell
are.
you what's an interesting thing in this. I'm just looking at Fandango. An interesting thing is how they're re-releasing films into theaters
Yes.
now.
Mhm.
Um, I think that's fascinating because some films like okay, how many times have you seen the Ten Commandments? But how many times have you seen it on the big screen?
Yeah,
Because that's like an epic film, right?
yeah.
And
Do you
and
remember
it feels
you
like it
remember the first? Yeah.
deserves that.
You remember the first movie you saw in theaters?
I My earliest memory
Yeah.
of going to a movie theater was actually a drive-in,
Okay.
and my parents were taking us to a drive-in, and we couldn't read the title. We couldn't make heads or tails of what the title was.
Yeah.
And we're asking my dad, "What is this? What are we going to see?" And he says, "It's called Two Gun Pete with Stinky Feet." Because, dad jokes. But it was Pinocchio
Oh, that's funny.
at a drive-in.
Yeah.
Um, and there's something that's the drive-in theater.
Yeah.
Gosh,
Yeah.
what an experience that was, and it was so sad that it is not completely gone. By the way,
Yeah. Yeah.
there is
There are
one in
some.
Vineland,
Yeah.
not far from here, the Delsey Drive-In. Um, and one of the I can't think of the Delsey Drive-In and us going to Delsey Drive-In without one of the films that we went to see there was Up.
Okay.
Oh my.
Yeah. That's a.
You've seen it, right?
Oh yeah.
The first 10 minutes of that film is like, oh, just tear my heart out, throw it on the floor and
Yeah.
stomp on it. Wow.
Yep. Yep.
And the thing is, I just saw a video recently that somebody was talking about how um Disney did that in a way like you cared about these people and they never said a word or barely said a word for that first 10 minutes, but you got their
Yeah.
whole life story and you were engaged and all and so many films today try to do that and they can't.
Yeah.
They just don't. They fail at it. And you don't care about the people. You don't care about the characters, which is a sad commentary on filmmaking and
Yeah.
script writing in particular. But
Yeah.
anyway, we are a little past. We're getting close to got to wrap it up. But
Yeah.
this has been an interesting, an
But
interesting discussion. Um,
it's a
so
palate cleanser.
a palate cleanser. Good. That's a good thought. So here's what I want to do.
Okay.
I don't know yet whether our guest will be able to be with us next week or
Yes.
not. I'm waiting to hear back from them. So if they are able to, then we will watch Soul or we will
Okay.
talk about Soul because we've already watched it. Um, if not, I want to have something in the chamber. So pick a film, John.
How about is this thing on?
Is this thing on? Where have I seen that? So Netflix?
It's on Hulu. It's on Disney,
Okay.
and it's Will Arnett, and he plays a guy that's trying to kind of work out his life issues through stand-up comedy.
Oh,
And
okay. Oh,
I thought it might be good. So
sounds interesting.
yeah.
So then Either next week we will be talking about soul, or we
Okay.
will be talking about is this thing on, depending on whether our guest is able to be with us.
Yep.
And until next week, friends, and next Friday is Good Friday, by the way. Until next week, keep on finding God in the dark. We will see you all later. Take care and God bless.
Bye.
Thanks again for watching the Finding God in the Dark podcast, friends. If you've made it here all the way to the end of the video, then obviously you find something that we're doing to be educational or informative, something valuable in this podcast. So we want to invite you to go ahead and share this with your friends. Hit the like button. Follow us for more of this. We publish every week at 10 a.m. on Friday mornings on YouTube. Shortly thereafter, you'll find us somewhere on Facebook. Until next Friday, keep on finding God in the dark. Thanks for watching. Bye now.